Good evening, and welcome to the Call of Eagles Week 3. We're excited for all of you that are joining us today from around the world, where we've got callers coming in from Haiti for the first time, Puerto Rico. Of course, we have our callers around the country. So far, it looks like about 11 cities are represented. And I'm also excited to see some of our military from overseas that are on the call. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I'm looking forward to having a good experience. Our call today is in reference to customers. And the first thing that came to my mind when I looked at customers, I started looking at some of the great quotes that come around for people in business. And of course, I'm a computer guy, so I look to my own little world. And Steve Jobs showed something that I thought was very interesting. It's at the bottom of the screen. Get closer than ever to your customers. So close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. And I've experienced that in many times in doing my business, and I know people that have done the same. I've watched a friend of mine, Jack Manila, out of Portofino Pools in Jacksonville, Florida. He's built a company up from the ground up, basically using that approach to the point where he's created a blue diamond service so that his customers know they get the best that his company can possibly offer. But when I'm going around the country and working with people, I've found more and more often a lot of companies, traditional, non-traditional, brick and mortar, online, they have lost the face of their father. They have forgotten what it means to have a customer. And so we're going to focus today on looking at why is it that we're losing customers, and what is it that we're seeing in our customers' eyes. And the way I categorize that is saying we have customers that are getting depressed. And that's why our topic today is avoiding customer depression, improving your brand's first impression. Brought to you in part by Simply Sweeties. Now, I looked up the word customer. I know we use that word all the time, and most of you say, oh, somebody that spends money for a product. But of course, I had to go a little bit deeper than that. And I found out that the Latin of it is consuetudinum, which means coming from one's habit or custom, a customary practice. But it was interesting that another old English definition was someone that was hard to deal with. As in, that's one tough customer. Somebody that's tough, that's strong, that it's very hard to get them to do what you want. And then I looked at client. And the Latin for client is cliens. And it's the idea of a follower. But me being me, I looked a little bit deeper. Most of you would say that a client is a regular customer. Do you realize that's an adjective? The noun for client is anyone under the patronage of another, a dependent. And it also is seeking the protection or influence of someone of power, someone of note. And I thought that was interesting. See, clients become clients because they get to the point where they trust you. They seek you. They believe that what you offer will give them a better sense of how they can live their life. It'll not only improve their quality of life, but it'll make them safer. They're secure. And when you've had a company that you've dealt with for years, that's what they make you feel. They make you feel safe. And so when we're looking at how do we agree to support our clients and customers in a better way, the first step is avoiding customer depression. Now, most of you are looking at customer depression as something that means, they're unhappy with me. No, you've all experienced customer depression. You've been shopping at a mall, you walk into a store, and the person at the front desk halfway down the aisle barely looks up when they see you. Or you get the tired, welcome to Acme, thanks for coming in. Everything about that experience is going to go downhill from there because you're already feeling like chattel. You're already feeling like you're a secondhand client. You've had that happen also when you've dealt with people on the phone, or when you get an email that seems like it's a cookie cutter email. They're not taking any time to listen to what you're saying. You call into Xfinity or some other big company and they immediately put you on hold. We've all experienced customer depression. It's not that you're sad, it's that you get into a depressed state, a state of not wanting to have action. And if you have a customer that is depressed, what's the first thing they press on? Their wallet, their purse. They don't let go of the dollars. And so we need to avoid that. And the best way to avoid it is by making sure that your brand has a good first impression. Please note, I didn't say you. I didn't say your sales team, your brand. Because every single thing that happens within your company's environment, single thing that happens within your organization's world is the brand. From how they dress, from how they talk, from how they follow up to every single interaction. If you have a nonprofit, every petition you make, every advocacy effort that you make, every time you go out and tell your story, you are creating a brand first impression. Why? Because every time you do that, somebody new hears what you're talking about. And if somebody new hears what you're talking about, you have a chance to enhance or erode your impression with them. So we're going to look at two different areas, and this is just to get us started into this 30-minute call. We're going to look at my basic beliefs in customer relations, and then we're going to look at what is the source of your brand. Now, my first belief in customer relations is individual perceptions create the collective reality. Now, what do you mean by that, ball guy? Simple. If you have a salesperson, a technician, a front desk person, an intern, a partner, and every time they deal with someone, they create a certain perception that is negative. Eventually, that will become the collective reality when people think about your business. I went into companies that have great products, great services. They're making money, but they keep seeing trends where they're losing customers. They'll get a customer and then they'll drop off. They'll get a bunch of them doing a promotion and they'll drop off. And the reason why they constantly have a drop off and they continue to have to do more and more promotions, car dealerships do that. It's because they have not figured out where someone is creating a bad impression and giving people the wrong perception that is filtering out into their marketplace and creating a collective reality they don't want to have. Somebody's going to catch this later on today. Individual perceptions create the collective reality. Just because you see how much your solution is needed doesn't mean the customer wants to solve it that way. See, when a customer comes in, they have probably already tried another method of solving the issue. If you sell clothing, if you're a caterer, if you're a graphic designer, they have probably already seen, can I do this logo myself? Can I bake this cake myself? Can I get this outfit from a different store? And because they've realized they can't, they've either looked you up, did a search on Google, or were referred to you by someone else. So they're coming to you with a mixed mindset. A part of their mindset is, I have something that I need solved, but the other part of that mindset is, well, normally I would go here. I'm just here because of X, or because so-and-so said this. You have to spend some time getting them to see that what you offer is a possible and a viable solution that is different from the way they're used to handling it. And for those of you saying, oh, no, that's not true. I have somebody that comes in all the time and they know exactly what they want and they get it. Yes, you do. They are called clients. They are not customers. Peppermint Patty, they have car sales that are generational. I did some research. They get car buyers that are year after year after year. The son, the mother, the grandmother, the grandfather. Everybody gets their cars from them. Why? Because they've created a solution that matches the way they wanted to solve their vehicle needs. But that didn't come because they just tried to push vehicles out. Jim Moran taught that in order for you to understand the customer, you have to listen more than you want. That's what I'm saying here. The first goodbye is your last chance to leave a positive first impression. I know everyone on this call, if you're in business, you've had a situation where someone was talking with you, dealing with you, going back and forth with emails, and they almost left you. They almost left doing business with you. The only thing that saved it is that you figured out some way to pour your butt out the fire to save the day. And they looked at you and said, you know, I was about to take my business elsewhere. You know, I was about to call Johnny down the street. No, I was going to take my pool business over to Acme. But you saved it. And that goodbye, that last interaction you had, gave them a positive first impression that made them say, you know what, I'm going to come back to you again, but make sure you don't have Johnny work on my car because Johnny doesn't know how to do anything. You may want to look at getting rid of him. You all have an opportunity to make sure your first goodbyes are better than they are right now. Every person who deals with me leaves with a part of me. The question is how they share that part with the next person. What is that talking about? Every single person that is in business has a certain essence, a certain way of doing business. It's your vision, it's your passion, it's your baby. You cook a certain way, you provide insurance a certain way, you babysit a certain way, you work with kids a certain way. It doesn't matter what it is that you do it in a certain way that makes it unique to you. If you have a team, that comes across through your team. In my E3 world, people that know me have heard me recite the E3 philosophy. We as a people need to educate each other in all aspects of living. We as a true family need to then encourage one another to set goals and define clear objectives. We then and only then are empowered people, forging our own roads to success, not settling for anything less than our collective best. I have leaders in Maryland, in DC, in Florida, in Georgia. They have heard me say that time and time again. But every time they hear me say it, it feels like it's the first time because it's an essence of me and I impart that to them. How do I know this? Because when I run into somebody, they say, hey, you know, I talked to Sequoia Lindsay Taylor. She sounds just like you when she talks. Oh, I got an email from Michelle Portier. She writes just like you do. They're not copying what I do. I've given them that part of me, and they share that part of me with the next person. That's branding through my people, and that's a key aspect of customer relations. I hope that's got you thinking. I hope somebody on the call now is saying, okay, I'll stay on a little bit longer. I don't see anybody running away and leaving, so I feel pretty good about that. Here's some more food for flight for you. Call of Eagles, we deal with the whole bird thing. Does your brand flow through your team, or does it languish there to die? When people meet a receptionist at your company, when they talk to a technician, when they get your head salesperson, when they get the person that signs the contract, when they get the follow-up call for support, does your brand flow through each aspect of your business? Or is there a disconnect at some point? This happens quite often in insurance teams and multi-level marketers. I'll meet an upline and they want me to talk to their downline about how they're doing business, or a nonprofit wants me to talk to their board about how they're working in the community. And the visionary, the person in charge, they have it, they get it. But once you start to filter down, start to talk to people further and further down, they don't carry the same essence. What they carry is maybe some of the complaints of the person in charge, or some of the negativity, or maybe they're just focused on the wrong thing. If everybody is not flowing the same way, your brand is either in a comatose state or it's flatlining. The only way to see your brand clearly is to look through the lens of your customers. They see you on your good days, your bad days. They understand every aspect of what you do. You have to learn how to flip the script and not base it off of what you think your customers see, and really learn what your customers see. And for those of you that use surveys to do this, and you say, well, we do surveys all the time, I found most companies do surveys, but they don't follow what the surveys tell them. The top businesses strategically mention their product while consistently showcasing its value. I want you to pay attention to the commercials during the playoffs, the commercials that you see during your favorite show. And you will notice in the 70s, all the commercials said, buy Pepsi Cola, buy this, buy that. They always put the product name out there front and center. But nowadays, you see stories. You see people having emotions. There's one commercial where there's fathers and daughters and sons and fathers dancing. I don't even know what the commercial is about, but they're having such a good time dancing. I start jumping up dancing too. I don't know what they're selling, but I want two of them. We are finding that people are now promoting the value. And then at the end, you see a logo. You see the brand signature. That's what sells now. If you see a top business doing it, why wouldn't you strategically mimic that? Stop worrying about telling people 10, 12, 15 times the name of your company. Make sure they understand what the company stands for. The only time I worry about whether somebody actually understands my name is when they're filling out payment. What I want them to make sure they understand initially is that I'm listening to them. I believe that their need is urgent and I accept it and acknowledge it, and that whatever I do is going to create more benefit and value to them, not just short term, but long term. If I do that, whether they say E3, Eagle Soaring Management, DJ TV Chilling, it doesn't matter. They will always point to the right person, and that next customer will always get to me. Every experience of brand satisfaction, when leveraged, will boost revenue. We have entrepreneurs on this call that have seen a 22% increase since last year on the Call of Eagles. Why? Because everything that we did around their brand building, every time they had a satisfactory client, I said, get a testimony, get a quote, get a story. And I showed them how to leverage that through media, through articles, through other forms of advertising so that more people saw the value that they had. It works. It works. So let's get right into the heart, the meat of the Call of Eagles. Action task. How do we avoid customer depression? This is brought to you by Asha Enterprises. Well, there are three parts to it: the mindset, the action, and the bottom line. Mindset. First thing you need to understand, recognize the flaw in your flow. I mentioned it earlier. Look at what you're saying to people and make sure that what you're saying is consistent across all of your mediums, whether it's social media, website, phone call, email, in-person networking, and every single level of your team needs to flow the same way, from business cards to marketing materials to every commercial you have. Good intent must equal good impact. Everyday intellect may have a need to work with kids in a certain area to help build up the knowledge and the awareness of STEM programs. But if they don't do it in the right way, they could actually turn somebody off from wanting to get a STEM education. Good intent doesn't always equal good impact. I almost got fired once from a job because I pushed a contract through the system in 2 days when it normally took 10. But it was in the city government. The city would fall on its feet if I did things that efficiently all the time. I had to learn their process was the way it had to be done. I had a good intent, bad impact. The customer is always right doesn't mean they are right here with you. First, you need to discern, then learn, and then you put yourself in a position to earn revenue. If you don't discern, it's impossible to learn. And if you don't learn, what can you possibly earn? So let's look at the action. And the action task is something I want those of you on the call to do every day this week. First, I want you to start hearing your customers' perceptions, not just what they say that they want, but what do they say about what they expect from you? When a person tells you about what they're doing, they make little comments like, well, I need this, but I know you're going to try to sell me that. Well, that tells you that people have told them, yeah, they're going to try to cross-sell you. They're going to try to upsell you on everything. Don't do it. They're already defensive. That's a perception. Recognize their challenge. Is their challenge that they need their pool cleaned? Or is their challenge that they can never find somebody that stays long enough to learn their pool? Are they having problems finding the caterer, or do they have a problem finding a caterer that stays consistent in what they offer? You see what I'm saying? Recognize their challenge so then you know how to approach it. Identify their release. What does release mean? It doesn't mean that they're necessarily better. It means they're at a point where they're willing to hear what you have to say. Before I can build an entrepreneur's business, the first thing I have to do is get them to the point where they acknowledge they truly need my help. When I say to somebody else, I need your help, please, it's a way for me to give myself a release so that I put myself in a situation where I'm open to their suggestions, and it makes them more comfortable to know he's ready to receive what I want to give him. Identify their release. Once you identify their release, and this is where the E3 comes in, align them via education. Education about the value of what you do. Education about the process of how you do it. We have Blue Diamond Service. We have the Ashe Way. We have the power to change. You have the power to change. Once you align them with education, then you can reinforce it via encouragement. Once you're with us, we're going to stay with you. We're going to keep doing this until we get it right. We're not going to leave you by the wayside. You're more than a customer. You're a client waiting to happen. Your objective, people, is not a new customer. It is a new and empowering relationship. If you gave me your sales team for 30 days and said, Anthony, can you give us 5% more sales? I would say, of course not. But I bet you I can get you 8 to 10% in some of your people, because I will show them that if they go for an empowering relationship, the people that they get are going to spend more money than all the people that you lost. You don't believe me? Put me to the test. Bottom line, customers know what they don't want until you help them see what they should want. They don't understand what you're providing them. They don't see your value. You have to make it relevant to their world. Once they understand what you're providing and the value, you can then move them to any product or service you want, because they're at a point of being open to receiving you as an expert in solving their problem. Your team is depressing your revenue and growth if they don't recognize their value in the process, and that it is a process. So when you're teaching your salespeople, I teach receptionists how to do computers. When I had a computer company, I taught my receptionists about RAM. I taught them about CPUs. Why? Because I knew that a lot of geeks were going to be talking to them on the phone, and I wanted to make sure they could speak intelligently. And that was important. If you're, okay, look, if your receptionist, if your intern doesn't know what a souffle is, if they can't explain what SEO is, if they don't know what supplemental insurance is, why would somebody want to speak to you? They're thinking, well, goodness, you didn't even teach the people that work for you and answer the phones. It has to be across the board. An E3 approach, this is totally biased, an E3 approach to sales can change your one-time customers into repeat clients. Remember, clients, somebody that just is a following. I want a following. I want some of you to listen to this and say, wow, this is good stuff. I do want to hear this next week. That brings us to the exercise. Improving your brand's first impression, brought to you by two great companies, Design Effects and CNL Mobile Notary Service. So how do we improve the brand's first impression? Whether you're in business for 1 year, 10 years, 25 years, this will work for you. I guarantee it. Pick your proper branding tool. When I'm saying your branding tool, I'm not talking about social media or your website. Your branding tool is picking the right product or service that epitomizes what you stand for as an organization, and use that as the focal point for your advertising. Try it with just one campaign. If I were to talk to a company, a car company, and they say, well, you know, we're real big on our sales and service, and I say, yeah, okay, but I noticed that when people come in here, they really gravitate towards this area of your lot. They seem to really like this. You have a kid-friendly area. Why not promote your family atmosphere, and that you understand and value the comfort of the family while they go through something that can be a very trying experience for a lot of people, buying a car. That's their branding tool. They may put that branding tool out in front of people on social media and things like that, but you have to know what tool within your product and service repertoire is worthy of putting out there to be promoted. I'm sorry, some of you are promoting the wrong thing in your business. And you're surprised when people aren't buying it. It's because it's not the thing that'll bring people in the door. It may get them back the second time, but it's not going to bring them in the first time. Put forth what your customers are asking for first and wait for it, because it's a process. If you put forth what your customers are asking for first, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of you try to sell a higher ticket item than what the customer is looking for. I do the opposite within Eagle Soaring and within E3. I tell people this is your most affordable option, and this is where I think you should look at first. I always tell somebody new to E3 that. Look at this level of being a part of E3. And then they will always ask the question, if I wait for it, they'll say, hey, but what if we want to do more marketing around the country? Funny you should ask. We do have another level that also provides opportunities for you to market and utilize our online database and our mass marketing emails. Well, what if we want to be involved with some of these different events you guys do and be a sponsor? I'm glad you brought that up. We have a higher level. You see what I'm saying? But I put forth what they want first, because I know if I do that, they'll get to what I want them to have eventually. And if they don't, what's wrong with that? They still become a customer, and I still have a chance to move them up the scale later. For the next 5 days, I am challenging those on the call to listen to what you say in response to what potential customers say. And here's a tip. Remove the pitch out your ear so you can hear better. Stop worrying about what you want to push to them and what your normal verbiage is, your rhetoric, and really hear what they're saying and respond accordingly. If you take the time to do this, I bet somebody will have a story to tell and come back and say to me, hey, this is good stuff. This really worked for my business. It could make you a sale. That brings us to 2 other sections of the Call of Eagles. The action task and the exercise is something I want you to do all throughout the week. If you are a multimillionaire business on this call, and I see 3 of you on here, or if you just started fresh, and I see about 6 or 7 of you on here, if you do the action task and do the exercise, and this is why the Call of Eagles is an accountability tool for you. I'm not going to make you do it. I'm not going to follow up on you. You're a grown person with a grown business, with a grown vision or a growing vision. Make this happen with you and your team. It's a process. It does work. Week after week, we see the results. Financial challenge, and then we have the phrase of the week to round us out. Financial challenge this week, and we go through a challenge where starting at the beginning of the year, we have 2 challenges. One is $1 per week. The other one is doubling the money, $2, $4, $6, $2 every week. So far, we're in week 3. Got to fix that graphic. I'm sorry for that. Week 3, $3, and the deposit is now $6. Financial challenge is available to anybody in Call of Eagles. There's no cost to it. It's just an incentive. But every 3 months, we give you an incentive award that you stay in it. It's an honor-based system. Not doing for self will create a vacuum. I want to thank Design Effects for this beautiful graphic here, just promoting the Call of Eagles. And of course, we want to thank Medicaid Assist Services of Northeast Florida. They help people with Medicaid applications. So if you have a senior that needs that, Google them, look them up. That brings us to the phrase of the week, brought to you by Healing Women, Healing Nations of Northeast Florida, a great organization that helps women with trauma and abuse, and actually those that just need to reestablish, rejuvenate, and re-energize themselves as wholesome people, business and personally. Thank you for sponsoring the phrase of the week. The phrase of the week is something that I give every week. It kind of summarizes what we've done, what I've talked about in this Power Pack 30 minutes, and it's something that you can print out, pick up, put on your wall, or listen to whenever you want to. I'm going to read it once, and then I'm going to say it again slower. Today, I have been exposed to a different way of thinking about my customers and how they see not me, but the brand I represent. Whether I work for myself or part of a team, it is important I adjust to identify, relate, and align to their buying perceptions. Instead of relying on my pitch, which may be slightly off key, I will seek this week to give potential customers something new to hear by first listening to them. I will work to put forth the right message from the right sources and seek harmony as I push for the sweet sound of business success. Today, I have been exposed to a different way of thinking about my customers and how they see not me, but the brand I represent. Whether I work for myself or part of a team, it is important I adjust to identify, relate, and align to their buying perceptions. Instead of relying on my pitch, which may be slightly off key, I will seek this week to give potential customers something new to hear by first listening to them. I will work to put forth the right message from the right sources and seek harmony as I push for the sweet sound of business success. You have just experienced what we have been pleased and blessed to have presented around the world for the past year. We're starting our second year. I so appreciate that you're on this call. The Call of Eagles 2018 is a realistic approach to building businesses. It frankly has become a revolutionary way to also building people, entrepreneurs, community advocates. We have 9 people of faith on the call. We have political leaders on the call. We have people that have been in business for 20 years and people that have been in business less than 2. This could be your tool to building success, and not just for you, but for your church family, for your organization, for that person within your company that you know has a potential, but they need that extra push, for that intern that you have that you're waiting for them to take hold and take self-accountability. Give them to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your disenchanted. Let me give them what they need. I can turn your pigeons into eagles if you give me a chance. I'm so happy that you were on the call. I thank you so much for being a part of the Call of Eagles, this live look-in. We will be posting this up on our webpage and Eagle Soaring Management to give people more of a sense of it. And hopefully you will tell somebody about it. You will think about it. As always, I will end in my customary way. And for those of you that want to stay, I usually give bonus time. So after I finish, I'll stop the recording, but we'll do a couple minutes of bonus time where I'll let you kind of chat. So for those of you listening as a guest, please know you don't have to hang up the minute I say bye, because I will stay on the call. But for right now, this is Anthony M. Butler Sr., and you have been on the Call of Eagles. All right.